by Crimson Maher from Riyadh, and I'm joined by Son of Sparda from Jeddah.
I have dropped off of the Marvel Studios wagon a while back, and none of the latest announcements have been very exciting for me. I am looking forward to Spider-Man, as anyone would be. It's a Spider-Man movie at the end of the day, but Avengers Doomsday specifically wasn't really giving me anything to get excited about yet. Like the news coming out of it, the castings, the characters that are going to be there. So, and I've not seen the trailer. I've only seen the trailer like a few minutes ago. So now I'll be watching it with you guys again, just to get the details in. And yeah, that's basically it. Let's see how we feel about it after.
Son of Sparda.
Oh man, I will say there wasn't a buildup to Doom like there was for the Infinity Saga, right? Like we were slowly learning about the Infinity Stones, about the Power Stone, the Soul Stone, all the Time Stone, all that stuff. There's been no buildup to this movie. There's been kind of hidden scenes, post-credit scenes, I should say, like at the end of the Marvels, right? Where oh my gosh, that character, I can't remember her name. Photon, I guess she traveled over to the Fox X-Men universe.
Yes.
And I guess that was it. We had that one scene at the end of Fantastic Four where Doom showed up and where the spaceship of the Fantastic Four showed up in the main timeline. And that was it. Well, there was no slow build up to this, as you will, as to what's going on. Is there going to be
the one at Thunderbolts as well?
Yep. That's the one I was referring to. The spaceship showing up. Thank you. But yeah, there's been no impending danger telling us that something's coming. So this has been us just sort of speculating that we're going to see RDJ again, and he's going to be Doom. And this is, I guess, our first live action portrayal of Doom, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, the Fantastic Four movies from the early
for the MCU. I mean,
the Fox, but for the MCU, yes. But for that, we did have.
Yeah,
and there was a horrendous live action adaptation in the 90s as well, if you guys remember.
Yeah, that didn't come out, did it?
No,
like it exists, but like it was like it's on YouTube, but it was never really released.
Yeah, I think for legal reasons, they said we're going to shoot a movie, and it was never released. Even the actors themselves, they never saw it on the big screen.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. So guys, are we ready for this?
Let's do it.
As ready as we can be.
Okay. Feel free to share your opinions in real time while watching the trailer.
Okay.
Let's go.
Xavier School, the logo.
And I think this is the multiverse collapsing.
Now, who's speaking? Who is this?
Okay, so that Doom? Is that RDJ doing an accent?
Yeah, Eastern European accent.
That big A on the side of the building. That's cool.
Okay.
I love those jackets.
So Thor is the guy who is bringing everyone together.
A Stormbreaker.
Oh, there you go.
Psych.
Shang-Chi.
Okay.
And Gambit.
Now that's cool. Now that is
look
cool.
At the cards. So he's working for the TVA.
The goat.
It's clobbering time. Oh, Rebecca Romaine.
Yeah, that hair is horrible, though.
Johnny Storm.
Oh, dude. Lots of people saying goodbye.
Cyclops. Namor.
Go for the head.
That's the part.
And Cap.
That's mine.
Roll credit.
Dude, something big's happening that would have to have Chris Evans, Steve Rogers give up his life with Peggy and say, I'm going to have to come back. This is something big is going on.
Oh, boy.
There's so much to this trailer. There's actual chills on my arm.
Agreed. So first up, Maher, you had mentioned that you weren't so much into the recent developments for Marvel Studios. What's your take after watching this trailer?
I think I'm a bit more optimistic, but I mean, it's like taking me from 0 to like 2. Okay. Look, I'm not saying there isn't a lot of exciting stuff happening here, but I do not want a fan service movie. Okay. What I want is a good story. And I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I still have a problem with RDJ being cast as Doom, and him doing the accent right now isn't helping. Okay, isn't helping. Doom is one of my favorite, if not my favorite villain in all of Marvel.
Right.
Okay, and while I don't think RDJ is going to do a bad job portraying the character, but I think it is not fair to have him again being the guy carrying the brand. Okay, we want Doom for a long time. Okay, but if RDJ is going to be the one portraying him, I have a feeling that this is either a one and done or very limited appearances by the character. And so this is where my issue with the entire concept of having RDJ as Doom is. Okay, and while I'm very excited to see the X-Men and like anyone else, but this isn't the X-Men I want to see. These are not the X-Men I want to see. I want to see the MCU X-Men. I want to see the new people who are going to be part of the X-Men. Yet I do believe that there is a part of me that wants a movie that isn't this. Okay, which is probably the problem. Okay.
Right.
I do not want fan service and catering to all Fox X-Men fans and old Avengers fans. I want something for the new generation.
Right.
Okay, do what DC is doing. Okay, make the characters for the modern age. I don't want to still see the same characters from 2008. Okay, that's my problem, and this hasn't changed with this trailer.
It hasn't changed with this trailer, and I'm glad that you quantified your excitement by going from 0 to 2%. Now, when you're saying that you are not in favor of seeing RDJ as Doctor Doom, so you made your case very eloquently that you don't want him to carry the brand. But is there any other reason that you don't want him to see as Doom?
I mean, it'll also have because there's a dissonance in seeing him as Doom when he was Iron Man. Okay, and if they're not going to put an explanation to why is that, okay, if they're just going to pretend this is an entirely new character that it isn't the same person, then I feel like we've been like they're trying to play us by getting the most popular actor to play another character just to keep the brand going. Okay,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like it is in favor, and it's not in favor of the character. Okay, if you're going to make Victor Von Doom be a multiverse version of Tony Stark, then you've ruined what made Victor Von Doom such an appealing character. He's his own character. He's not a Tony Stark clone.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and if you don't say he's a Tony Stark clone, then there is no point in getting RDJ to play the character. That's my take.
Son of Sparda.
So we're talking about the Russo brothers here, right? They gave
Yeah.
us Avengers: Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War, The Winter
Winter
Soldier. These
Soldier.
guys, these guys gave us the best of the best of the Marvel movies. So I like to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think they would make this move unless they had a long-term plan. So I think either we're going to get an explanation as to why RDG is playing this character either in Doomsday or probably definitely in Secret Wars, but it's coming. I'm sure it's coming. Because they wouldn't have had the savior of the world who saved the world in not once but twice, but probably 3 or 4 times, come back as the main villain unless there was a plan. So I'm sure there's something in mind. And, I hope we get to see it sooner rather than later in Secret Wars next year. But it is. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure they won't have the Avengers face off against RDJ and say, "Tony, you're back. Why are you fighting us?" Well, what's going on? There has to be something. There has to be something going on.
I like the way how you encapsulated all of it in a very 80s happy ending. Let's be buddies. Let's have a shawarma.
Tony, why aren't you assembling with us? Why are you in a different armor that looks evil and you're fighting us? But in regards to the X-Men, I think, if I recall, if I'm not mistaken, I think the next phase of the MCU is going to be very X-Men heavy. They're going to, there's going to be a soft reboot, and we're going to get the next generation. Whether it's going to be this new Jean Grey that it's rumored to be in Brand New Day, or if it's going to be
I don't think
entirely,
it's. I don't think
because
she's playing Jean Grey, but I could be wrong.
didn't she sign a multi-picture deal for her to come
So
back
what?
as
So what? She's a redhead. She could be playing. Yeah.
that's
Well,
true. That's true. But, so whatever the case is, I think, possibly that, even though we kind of got a farewell for the Fox universe in Deadpool Wolverine, I
Two
think,
times.
you know,
Yeah, farewell 2 times.
and
Multiverse of Madness and
you know,
in
I,
Deadpool. That's enough.
I,
Keep them dead. Stop bringing them back and killing them again.
I think they said we can't do a proper farewell without the entire team. And that would be, even though we've had no confirmation that Wolverine's in this, I feel like it would be a huge misstep to not have the entire team for us to say goodbye one last time for the fourth, fifth, or whatever, how many times. For the entire team for us to say goodbye. Guys, thank you and goodbye.
okay, both of you are basically united on one point that there needs to be a rationale given to the viewers that
Yes.
how did all of this transpire. So I
Yep.
want to ask you guys, because Maher brings in a solid marketing perspective as well, along with the perspective of a typical member of the fandom, just like Son of Sparda does, are going to be having Avengers Endgame being re-released in September. And that is basically going to be connecting all the dots that will lead to Doomsday, followed by an Avengers Doomsday movie, which is going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes long. Do you think that indicates that they are going to be providing the sufficient background that's needed to justify the existence of Doctor Doom in the new MCU?
So, you want my honest opinion? This feels like the BBS to Justice League, kind of. The Snyderverse way of doing it. Just a shortcut. Cutting corners instead of building. Okay, there has been. So I understand. Okay, from a studio perspective, from a production perspective, why a lot of plans had to change. Okay, and between COVID, what happened with Jonathan
Jonathan
Majors, and
Majors.
everything that's happened, and the death of Chadwick Boseman, who was supposed to be leading the team after Endgame, all of that changed a lot of plans for Marvel, for Disney. So basically, man, well, what I'm saying is that this it still feels like like I said, I do understand why they had to reshuffle things, we had to change things around, why some of the plans just didn't work, some things had to get canceled, and I think right now there's a lot riding on Doomsday specifically because given how other franchise movies haven't been doing well this year, and so now there's a lot, like with for Disney, it's been a disastrous year. Like with the exception of Toy Story 5, nothing else has worked. Mulan, live action one has failed. There was another movie I think they released that. So the Pixar movie they had, Beavers, didn't do well.
Hoppers or Beavers?
Hoppers,
Yeah.
Hoppers. Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
beavers. It's Hoppers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hoppers.
Hoppers didn't do well.
Yeah.
So Disney hasn't been having a good year, and mostly it hasn't been a good year for franchises in general. Sadly, my beloved Masters of the Universe didn't do well.
Supergirl flop.
Supergirl flopped. Both good movies. It's just they
Yeah.
didn't do the numbers that the studios wanted them to. So there is a lot riding on this movie specifically, but it's going to have a very hard time because it's also going to get released with Dune.
Oh
Okay.
yes.
It's
Oh
it's releasing
yes.
with Dune 3. And like so much is going against this movie, right? Like if so, the release of Avengers Endgame feels like it's the same. It's coming from the same school that Zack Snyder did with BVS being a bridge to Justice League without properly introducing the characters or the universe. Just a quick, let's get to the team movie as fast as possible. The advantage here is that this movie comes with characters that are already established, so you're not really presenting new characters, but there are a lot of characters, okay, that did not have a chance yet to be in other Avengers movies. Okay, because if you remember, the first Avengers movie was a great movie.
Yes.
Okay, but the cast was small, and in general, it wasn't that big of a movie.
True. True.
Okay, so it brought in these characters. You already knew who most of them were. You've seen them before in other movies. They're together. They're kicking ass. They're fighting the same villain that was in Thor, so they know who the villain is. So that setup is very easy. Okay, and it works. You come here now to Doomsday, and you're bringing in so many characters. Okay, some that haven't been on screen for years. Okay, some that have had a one and done like Shang-Chi or the Fantastic Four, and those characters deserve to have had a bigger build-up. The
Yeah.
Fantastic Four specifically. Okay, now this is I'm not going to have a gripe against Doom not being a Fantastic Four villain before he is anything else. Okay, I will not gripe about that. That's a comic book thing. If you're not a comic book fan, this doesn't matter to you. You neither know who the Fantastic Four are or who Doctor Doom is. So none of that matters to you. Okay, but right now, from what I'm seeing from the movie, this feels like a fan service movie. Okay, like I said before, and I don't want a fan service movie. Okay, we don't need fan service movie. We need better stories, and this is what the problem that's been plaguing the MCU for the last I don't know how many years. Okay,
Since I
yeah,
think No Way Home, I think since No Way Home, if we add that to the
I
MCU, but that's a Sony project.
yeah. No, look, I love Loki. I think Loki was a great series and it had one of the best endings for this of anything. I don't think Thunderbolts was a bad movie. I think I loved Thunderbolts. Okay, and it did have a very solid story, but you're not doing enough with these characters to make me want to see them in a bigger movie, in a big assembled movie. Okay, is it a passing of the torch movie? It could be. If that's what's going to happen, great. Okay, I'll be very happy to see that. I don't want to see old man Thor and old man Captain America in the next Avengers movie. I'm done with them. I love Chris Evans as Captain America. I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. They're all great actors. They're all great. They've given us the best version of these characters we could have ever hoped for. Retire them. Okay, let's move on. Give the new people a chance. Okay, otherwise, the MCU is going to have the exact same problem that the comics have, which is a reset to the status quo again. Although the MCU itself, what made it great in within the first three phases is it wasn't doing that. It was going in a linear storytelling line, which is what most audiences want. Okay. Anyway, I've said enough. Your piece now.
Don't you think that the MCU pre-COVID was going in a linear way when they had announced the entire plan, the entire timeline, if you will, for all their live-action TV series and movies, which included Kang Dynasty that would lead to Secret Wars when Doctor Doom would be introduced? So that's number one. The other bit is that when we are talking about like Doctor Doom, yes, he is a Fantastic Four villain, but from a comic, even from a comic book standpoint, Doom was introduced as Avengers' earliest villains by Stan Lee and Don Heck. And in that respect, I mean, like, he is not that type of a villain that remains restricted to the Fantastic
No, no,
Four.
no, no. He's not. But you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, that's
So
what
his
I'm trying to
relationship with
understand.
Reed,
Yeah.
yeah, his relationship with Reed is what makes like I know Doom is bigger I mean, we can talk about Doom in the third person, like he likes to do it.
Yeah,
But his relationship with Reed is what made the the protagonist and like the rivalry, okay, between them was a big part of bringing him up as a character.
true.
Okay, his relationship to the Fantastic Four, which is, while antagonistic, not exactly a villain hero kind of relationship. Like there are times where they team up, there are times where they help each other. He has a very good relationship with Valeria and Franklin, and he has a questionable relationship with everyone else. So all of that, because we're missing that, we're going to miss that dynamic here. Okay, that whole dynamic is not going to exist. Okay, and but that's fine. At the end of the day, like I said, this is a comic book thing. It's not a movie thing, so that isn't something I'm going to have a problem with. Okay, and yes, he has been more than that throughout the years. God King Doom is still one of my favorite versions of the character, and he's the character that embodies everything that Doom wants to be. And I think this is the version of the character they're trying to bring here. But we never got the build up to this. As Son of Sparda said, made a very good point there. Okay, we did not get the build up. Okay, what made Secret Wars such an amazing event? Okay, Secret Wars and Battle and all of that is the the sense of, couldn't say that, but the sense of impending doom,
Hmm.
okay, that came from the Infinity arc and the Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four. Like, you know, something bigger was coming. Okay, that something bigger was being alluded to, but we didn't get any of that because the story broke in the middle. Okay, when they were trying to do Kang, and then after the Kang dynasty, we were going to get that build up.
Yeah.
Okay, the entire thing with He Who Remains was basically telling us that there's something like this happening, and then Loki stops the incursions from happening by holding them together. And that's basically where this is supposed. But that's basically the only buildup we have to what I assume is happening here.
I think that's a valid point that you've made with respect to Loki, because I think whatever damage that had occurred after the Jonathan Majors scandal and the whole uh, plan, if you will, had to be revised, and then we had to have Doomsday followed by Secret Wars. I think Loki was there to patch up, or put a bandage on the damage that was there. Lastly, what I want to ask you is that you mentioned that, like, because what I am seeing it from afar is the fact that I feel that Marvel Studios is now taking the Avengers, the age of Avengers, and bringing it to a conclusion in Secret Wars, because the next decade, according to Kevin Feige, also is going to be led by X-Men, which may also address your concerns, which are valid concerns, that you don't want to see old man Thor, you don't want to see old man Chris Evans, okay? Because by the end of the day, financially, it doesn't make sense, because you're going to end up paying them like hundreds and millions of dollars. And then at the same time, I mean, like, will they be able to deliver the way they were able to deliver back then? Maybe they are going to be planning some kind of a reinvention, just like they did with the Star Wars franchise with respect to the character of Darth Vader. I don't know, but the reason I feel that way is, like, I'm glad we had a bit of a discussion about Sadie Sink in Spider-Man Brand New Day. One of the reasons I believe that she is Jean Grey is because of the inclusion of William Metzger. So why do you want to have William Metzger be a part of Spider-Man lore? If you ask me, he's the only odd character there, because the rest of the characters are directly linked with Spider-Man. We are having expectations that because the hand are there, we're gonna see Daredevil. They have just
Just like they did with the other Spider-Man
yeah,
movies.
exactly. So what I feel is, and even when I'm looking at the trailer of Doomsday, when I looked at Chris Evans, I got this vibe from Chris Evans that maybe this is not the Steve Rogers, the good Steve Rogers. Maybe this is the Secret Empire Steve Rogers.
Yeah,
Just think.
He can't. He wouldn't have been able to. Oh, actually, he can't. Secret Empire, even Secret Empires, one can carry Mjolnir. That
Yeah,
happened in the books. But that's a
exactly.
very deep cut. Why would they do that? It's an
The thing,
extremely deep cut.
the thing is, because look, by the end of the day, any organization, any organization has people who believe in a certain point of view, and then you have some team members who might be thinking like you, who might be thinking like me, who might be thinking like Son of Sparda. And when you have all these timelines, being exploited by a character, Dr. Doom, we don't know if this is Tony Stark as Dr. Doom. We don't know if this is Victor Von Doom. But when these timelines are converging or crashing with each other, how can we rule out the possibility that the Secret Empire timeline, where Captain America is Hydra, does not get involved in this?
You want my opinion? I think you have a point, but it's not exactly that.
Mm.
I think it is possible that this Captain America, this Steve Rogers,
Mhm.
is working with Doom, but he's not the Hydra Captain America.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
it's
might be some.
possible that
Yeah,
it's possible he's the main universe Captain America, but he has to work with Doom, okay, in order to to protect where he is right now. Because if you from let's say from a TVA perspective, okay, Steve Rogers right now is breaking TVA
yes,
rules,
yes,
okay, as per Endgame, and I think that's what we're gonna get in Endgame. I think the new cut of Endgame is probably going to address that. Okay, because that is the only way that a let's say a villain version of Captain America, although probably not really a villain, is going to appear in Doomsday. Okay, because as for the timeline, okay, in Endgame, at the end of Endgame, he was old, so he's
yeah,
already lived his life. Okay,
exactly.
so we're seeing a version of him that's somewhere in between the moment they see him in Endgame and the moment we're seeing him here in Doomsday. So it is quite possible. Yeah, you could be right. He may not be on the side of the Avengers. Okay, I think saying he's a villain is going to be very black and white. I don't think with Doom you never have black and white. So I think that this version of Rogers could be working with Doom, but I don't think he's Hydra Captain America though, because that's to do Hydra Captain America. You would have to be explained a lot. Okay, and that would not that I don't think they have enough time in this movie to explain. Oh, there's another universe where Captain America is actually working with Hydra, and yeah, this is the Captain America you're seeing here. I think that it's a little too much to explain with everything that's already happened.
Possible, quite possible, and a reasonable argument that's there. Overall, as far as I'm concerned, I'm really delighted. I watched this trailer like 10 times before we did this recording, because you and I both grew up in Saudi Arabia in the 80s, and we used to watch Dr. Doom on Spider Man 1981 animated series with that deep, terrorizing voice. So to see him being portrayed by a great actor like Robert Downey Jr., that made my day. Seeing all the heroes converging and all, I am optimistic, because as Son of Sparda had alluded to before, because I have a lot of faith on Russo brothers and their ability to tell stories. Because when you're doing a movie like Endgame, which I think was, it's amazing, it's a masterpiece, but it's not as good as Infinity War because of the comedic puns. But to tackle the issue of time travel within the Marvel universe and then leave those points for interpretation, because so many timelines were tempered with, I feel that maybe these two movies, namely Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is going to save Sony, but it will also add up to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well, and Avengers Doomsday, might very well be able to end this phase of decline, if you will, and usher in the age of mutants. Maybe my take is quite optimistic, because when it comes to, and understand when you mentioned, and I'm glad that you named it, without fearing the Snyder cult. I feel that there's still a lot of homework that has already been done by Marvel compared to what Zack Snyder was doing. Because on
Yeah.
one side, we came
Yeah.
across Man of Steel, and then next thing you know, at San Diego Comic Con, we come across this logo of Superman and then Batman together. So, yeah, my take is a bit more optimistic in this one. And I'm really glad that you had shared your points of concerns, your critical analysis, because by the end of the day, it helps us think about it in a much better direction.
Yeah. So let me just end it on a more positive note because I don't like ending things on a negative note.
Yeah,
I'm always optimistic person. I'm pretty sure I will have a good time watching the movie. I don't think I'm going to hate it. Okay, I don't normally dislike any movie I watch. Like it'll have to be a very horrible movie for me to not like it or enjoy it. Okay, they
like
have
the
to really
Marvels,
mess things up.
like the
I
Marvels.
actually like the Marvels. I actually like
Okay,
the Marvels.
okay,
I do.
okay.
Yeah, I actually do like the Marvels. So what I want to end this on a good note is that it does seem like a passing of the torch movie. The scenes are giving me that. I am glad we're seeing Namor, we're seeing Black Panther, we're seeing the Fantastic Four were there as well, and we're seeing a lot of focus on them because it's a Doom. It's Doom. They should have more to do there. Shang-Chi being there fighting Gambit was honestly the highlight for me in this. Although Gambit should not be able to stand to see Shang-Chi, but we're gonna have to wait and see that bit because these are the characters I want to see more of because we've seen the rest.
Right.
Okay, so it does seem like what this movie is doing is okay, yes, we do have your old favorites. We do have Thor, Captain America, the old X-Men. Okay, but we also have all of these guys. But we're also going to keep the focus on the new guys. Okay, for them to take things forward. And Thor's monologue in the movie is also kind of reminiscent of his monologue when he was facing the Beyonder. So I'm thinking that there is more to this. There could be more to this than just Doom. Okay, and if this is where this is going, then this could make me more excited for it. Okay, because
Two quick questions.
go.
When you say passing of the torch, do you mean the passing of the torch from the Avengers to X-Men?
No, I'm saying it's the passing of the torch from the old characters that we've been growing up with to the Thunderbolts, the Black Panther Shuri, I mean, and Shang-Chi and the Fantastic Four.
Right.
Okay, so you have the new characters who have not gotten enough screen time, and these are the old characters passing the torch to that.
Right.
There was no mention of the new X-Men. I don't think we're going to get that. Maybe we'll get that in Spider-Man. Though my you like everyone's been making these points, especially the one you made that Sadie is probably Jean Grey because of
William Metzger.
because of William Merciful, but I don't. I think it would be a missed opportunity to introduce the first new X Men in a Spider Man movie. Okay, in a Sony movie. Okay, that's why I'm kind of hesitant to believe that it's that she's Jean Grey. That's where I think it's kind of doesn't work. I could be wrong. Okay, they did bring back Daredevil, but they've established that Daredevil because of New York and Spider Man is New York, so he can be brought back. But he's an old character that's been brought back. He's
Yeah.
not a new big
New character. Yeah.
character who's going to take the universe forward. Okay, and it would be odd to pick Jean Grey to interact with Spider Man because they don't have that much history.
True.
Okay, that's my concern. That's where I don't think this is why I don't think she's Jean Grey. I could be wrong. I could be
Okay. Okay. The other thing is that the other quick question I have is, do you think for a movie like Avengers Doomsday, the duration of 2 hours and 45 minutes, do you think is it sufficient or is it too much?
I don't know if people have the patience anymore for 3-hour movie. I mean, unless the movie has parts where where they're going, people can take a break and walk around a little bit. It's just it's very long. But I given how like they did manage this with Endgame and Infinity War in a very good way. I will never say anything bad about the Russos. I love their work. I still say Winter Soldier is my favorite Marvel movie to date.
No doubt.
All right, and I do believe the Russo brothers are great directors, and they've done a lot of great work outside of Marvel as well. And I do think they can pull this off. I don't think that they can't. I do believe they can. And very honestly, I like I said, it's not that I'm. I mean, saying I'm not excited is kind of a cop out. It's not that I'm not excited. It's just I don't expect much from it anymore. That's all.
Yeah, your
Okay, it's not.
expectation level is quite low.
Yeah, my expectations are low. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna enjoy it. I know that for sure. Okay, that's a fact. Okay, but am I going to be as invested as I used to be in the MCU? I don't think so. Like for me, the last few times I was really invested in anything that MCU came out was, like I said, Loki was something I really loved, and the Daredevil Born Again because I'm a huge Daredevil fan, and so most of that was really good for me. But other than that, I haven't seen a lot of the stuff that came out recently,
Right.
to be very honest.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. So with that, thank you, Maher, for joining us at such short notice because the community is like really excited after watching the trailer and they wanted a quick review from our side. So thank you so much for joining in for such a short notice. Son of
Sorry.
Sparda, if you're watching it, thank you so much for joining us. You were also in the middle of a lot of things, but you still took out the time. And let us know in the comments what do you feel about the Avengers Doomsday first trailer. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you like the video, please make sure to click the like button and share it with your fellow MCU fans. Until next time, take care.